Divine Shield's in the right place, get those 1/4s buffed to 2/5s, try and get your buffs to work, and draw Gandling. Otherwise, you're in a world of trouble. Because, as we all know, Shaman does its damage in 3s, except when it's got spell damage, and then it does it in 4s.
Yes, exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. Curious about like Mulligan here. If you just keep blue, or you could even argue for a 4-keep here. Honestly, the one card missing is kind of the Perpetual Flame, but Canal Slogger is great. Lightning Bloom allows for those early tempo swings and first quest completion, and Guidance just gives you that additional flexibility. So, I think that did he 4-keep?
You might throw the Guidance. I might throw the Guidance here. He's kept it, so you're right, I'm wrong. I just might want something a little bit, get one of my 3 drops, find a portal maybe, but Guidance is absolutely fine. I understand the keep, obviously. McBanterFace had a bit of a think and threw it all away. Again, there was arguments for keeping the horror and maybe drawing in, but he is looking for far more power than that.
Yeah. I am perfectly fine with this. McBanterFace finds a decent opening hand. Void Touch Tendant, great. And the Kulturon Chaplain are also great because you can kind of bring things out of range of a Perpetual Flame, give more health to a high priority target. So I think this is a decent start for both players.
I want McBanterFace to pick up a low-cost minion here because I want to see if he plays Attendant and Chaplain together on turn 3. So now Neophyte and then Attendant Chaplain make your Attendant really hard to remove, and you'll have 2 minions on the board that start connecting.
Yeah,
I'm going to plan all of that right now.
I am perfectly good with that.
Yes, but how? Muzzle their magic.
Yeah. And depending what he draws next turn, he can actually delay that 1 more turn if he wants to, although I think he will just start hitting face next turn properly. Neophyte really good against Shaman. They're a very spell-heavy deck, especially early on. I mean, they've got minions, but the minions are there to find spells. That's what they do.
Yep.
Right, decision time.
I think we'll just keep going with the kind of the sequence of plays that you had mentioned there.
I think so too. The other choice is to Tour Guide, shoot the totem, or the face actually, and just Chaplain up your Neophyte to a 3/4, and so you've got a 2/5, a 3/4. You've shot somebody in the face, and you've still got a Attendant to come down next turn and buff everything that's probably still all going to be on the board, or a lot of it will. And you can drop that alongside the Reader.
How?
The downside being you're kind of wasting your Tour Guide if you're using that this turn on a hero power, because you haven't got a really good target. Face is always nice, but you're not getting a really good target of a juicy minion with your Tour Guide.
Yeah.
Count your blessings, mate.
Kind of a decision of which minion he values the most, and obviously it's Void Touch Attendant. That's that situation. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, this is a huge pop-off turn. Which means you're going to use Diligent Note Taker and get the double Lightning Bloom out. So this will be full quest completion. Not full. Whoa.
Yeah.
Full
That's
quest
a good
completion.
Card. I'd play that.
But a lot of quest completion. Let's just put it that way.
A level, at least. Probably more.
Yeah.
Full overload refund. There we go.
There you go.
Saved it just in time. Nobody noticed.
Nice.
Alright. Well, McBanterFace is going to get a mini reward for his play last turn because he's going to have this Tour Guide ping into the 6/2 and start his own quest to do 30 damage several times all over again. He went at Perpetual Flame. Just play everything. It'll be fine. What could go wrong? I think he has to anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, but how?
Well, I mean, this is a pretty straightforward turn. The only
Here for the tour?
kind of thought that or difference that you can make is what, if anything, do you trade into, right?
Yeah. And when you look at it, you end up with a load of 3 health minions if you make the value trade. So that's not really playing around Perpetual Flame very well.
Yeah.
And is it really a value trade if you put 4 damage on your minions to take out a 2/3? I'm not sure it is.
No.
Weirdly, from where we're sat, it actually is a decent value trade, but with Perpetual Flame in mind, not so keen.
Yeah. What the pickups are. Probably looking for like a Ganling here would be best case scenario. We can see Dimitri doesn't even have Perpetual Flame, so this could be starting to get into rough territory for him. I mean, sure, you could take all the time in the world you want to think about that decision, but you're keeping both every time, so...
Yep. Just take the time to read the cards at some point, so you might as well do it. I don't know. One of them may have changed and say, card does nothing, and you still take it for the overload, so great.
Yep. Oh, Wriggling Horror is a great pickup. This is another hand dump as well for McBanterFace. Voracious Reader wasn't touched, so... like the only, I guess, difficult part about this turn would be...
Positioning he's got is slightly off, maybe?
Well, I think protecting the Voracious Reader seems decent. Like if, you know, he was actively thinking about Wriggling Horror or the potential for it.
Here for the tour?
Is when you've got this is the trade I'm looking at, but when you've got the Void Touch out, you really want a lot of things to go face. This is a lot of damage he's giving up to get full control of the board, but he does know there's almost certainly no Perpetual Flame, so he can do what he likes, and he's going to draw more cards even if he happens to be wrong. One more turn for Dimitri, or he's in real deadly trouble. A second Void Touch drawn as well now. Is it lethal?
So if you attack with the Desk Imp and then Hero Power it, that would add 5 damage, but give up 1, 2, 3. Because it'd be the Hero Power, give up 3.
Yes.
If it's not lethal, I don't know if that's worth it. There's also some argument to like... no, there's no argument for fitting in a Cold Neophyte. What am I talking about?
Actually, no, there is no argument because he's not overloaded, so who cares? 3?
Yeah, it's 13, I think, if I counted correctly, if he does that play. 14 with the actual ping.
Oh, you can shoot the frog, not the Desk Imp anyway.
Ah, yeah, you're absolutely right. What am I
Now
talking
you're giving up 3 and you're gaining... No, I saw the same play, TJ, weirdly. I also was going to shoot the Desk Imp before you said that.
Yeah, you just... Sometimes it's hard to even remember that frog exists when it's there. It just is kind of perpetually on board, I suppose.
Proposed? He's given a variety of problems for Dimitri to solve here. 3 minions out of range of the drawn Perpetual Flame. Now 1 minion out of range.
What to do?
Can go
That's interesting.
out
Right.
Zapper, Perpetual Flame, and Feral Spirits here.
Yep. Thing is, you live in constant fear as the shaman that you're going to run out of cards. That's why that took a while. So taking the Blood Mage had a merit as well. I mean,
Ooh!
oof. The McBanterFace punches the air. That means he's calculated, he gets through.
No.
And bam.
He doesn't get through. So, like, we're still looking at another perpetual flame draw here. That's 1, 2, 3. Is it 3 or 4 overload for next
What's in
turn?
the raised Deadpool? Oh, that's why he didn't shoot the frog, because he was very Deadpool. Got it.
Yeah, not that great for raise that considerations. Neither is a tiny fin, really, if we want to look at it that way.
So he can put in the wriggling horror into one of these, and then do something, shoot face, whatever, take some damage somehow, play the Deceptor, get the raised dead, try and get a horror back.
Yeah.
Then what do we do? I was getting somewhere there. Oh yeah, then you buff the frog and the reader.
No time.
And use the frog to finish off the 1 health thing. He's going a very different way to me, surprisingly enough.
Muzzle their magic.
You like that then? See if I care.
Yeah. I mean, this is still
Yeah.
a lot of power on board. This is still on Dimitri to find something.
He's got 2 mana.
2 mana, yeah. Sorry, it was 5 overload.
Big deal from McBanterFace if you can win this one. We talk about all matchups are not built equally, but winning with Priest against Shaman is a lovely start from McBanterFace. Putting that Shaman out of there and getting a go with the Priest against the decks it's good against now.
Yeah, I mean, that was a supposed good matchup for DimitriKazov, and we had mentioned at the very beginning how, like, that's good for him to get this matchup right off the bat, but right now, does it feel like anything really consistently beats Priest outside of decks that are specifically designed to counter it?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
no is
it's running at...
correct answer there.
For week 4 up till the end of last night, Priest is running at 60%, just over this week.
Yeah, which is...
And that's in last hero standing, where you ban it if you don't like it, and you counter Q it if it beats you. And it's still 60%. So, no. Short version, TLDR, no.
Yep. All right, well, I mean, McBanterFace gets to move on with Shadow Priest, and Dimitrikazov has Warlock and Rogue left. So, not looking good for his chances. That was, maybe there's some argument there to save Shaman, but if the outcome was going to be that anyway, it wouldn't have made a difference. So, Dimitri does have probably the best Warlock deck for dealing with Shadow Priest when we really look at it. So we'll see, right? You still have Soul Rend, you still have all the healing stuff, except you're cycling your deck a little bit faster, and the minions that you do have can contest the board immediately. Because this is not really like a matchup where you need a win condition. A win condition is kind of just to run them out of stuff. And I feel like this is the deck that does it the best.
I do agree. It's weird, because when you first glance at it, you think, well, against Priest, surely you just need to stick 1 giant, and then you've got permanent removal every turn. But turns out that just healing yourself up and going through your deck so quickly, it just works. That being said, it just works. We've just discussed. Nothing just works against Priest. We've just seen that, how it can go.
Yeah.
There's no healing in this one, right? It's just the Matron. I mean, there's loads of healing, but there's no... What's the...
I was like, wait, what?
The healing minion, which I can't remember the name of, my brain has just blanked completely, oh my goodness. The one that buffs your demon and turns it into a healing machine. We played it loads, week 1, week 2.
Minari Mosher.
That's the one, the Mosher. See, I knew all along. Yeah, the Mosher. There's no Mosher in this deck, which you sometimes see. but it doesn't really matter. There's plenty of healing outside of that.
Yep.
Oh,
This isn't. Okay. So this isn't the hyper aggressive start that you a lot of times want in Shadow Priest, but there's some good stuff here. The biggest decision I think to be made is, which one of these 1-drops do you play, if not both, right? Because if you want to just go to the curve and save the coin for Disciplinary Ganley, you'd probably want to play Frazzled Freshman because then you can move into Colteron Chaplain. But if you don't play Imprisoned Homunculus, like, are you ever playing it? So,
I guess you could play Homunculus on 3, so that when they Soul Rend on 4, it appears on 5 and goes, haha, minion. Got ya.
Got ya!
Surprise! That's all I got. Because like you say, otherwise you just don't play it at all because it's a 2/5 that doesn't block anything and dies to the things it does block and ugh. Let's see how he goes about playing around Soul Rend, or if he bothers. I think he's just going to go all in and hope it's not there from how he's playing so far.
Yeah.
And then just hit a Raise Dead and do it again. If you can find a Raise Dead or a way to get a Raise Dead.
Well, when you put it like that, you make it sound so easy.
It's all easy, TJ. Just not for me. It's easy for these players. Look at this, going for it.
Yep.
There's no Soul Rend.
There's a Soul Rend, but the Soul Rend won't completely deal with the board state. There'll still be some minions left over. And McBanterFace, he thought about holding it, and the reason to hold would be pretty much exactly Soul Rend, because he knows that the Ganley wouldn't die, and then he could just play the token the next turn. And stopping at 1 seems like enough power to be able to get there.
I feel like McBanterFace is going to be unimpressed with how long his turn took, but yeah, little eye roll there. But we've talked about DimitriKazov. Like, he doesn't get many things wrong because he does put the time in to make sure everything's in order. I think some players like to keep the tempo of their play the same, even when the play is obvious.
Yeah.
More like a whistling warden.
And a 17 though, despite Soul Rend, and still facing a chunk of damage.
I wonder if Dimitri ever pays attention to like activating the Bristleback on this turn, right? You could go like Nightshade Matron, trade over the 4/4, and then touch, or even coil, and then the Bristleback would be active next turn, and from there it's pretty smooth sailing.
Yeah, seems reasonable. Yeah, that seems fine. Getting rid of Gambling sort of just slows everything right down. There's all that healing as well. Now you just got to high roll the Raise Dead and you're back in business.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, not even, right? He's got Tour Guide, tap, Bristleback next turn, Soul Rend in hand. Are you talking about?
Just go, yeah. Get your Gambling back, get a Murloc. Yourself a reader.
Even then, right? You get a Gambling back, you get a Murloc, you play it again. Dimitri's just looking good from that point on. And maybe that was the plan from the get-go from Dimitri, was to actually... Well, no, because Shadow Priest can high roll the crap out of even the most anti-aggro of Warlocks, it feels.
Yep. Like this. I mean, it's not going to because it's going to lose. Because Tamsin's also been picked up.
Yeah. So right now it's really just about efficiency.
Dimitri's gained a coat, right? So now we've got hat stand, guitar, and I think coat in the room. They're going to catch us 1 week. And there might even be a bed or something, or mattress. I swear, he adds an item each week to this room.
Blood is my currency.
Sorry. I temporarily was lost interest in the game because Dimitri's on
Well,
20
I mean-
and facing down an army of 1/1s.
Yeah, this is... I don't even know what you do at this point, to be honest.
Match. Hat. Yep.
Yes, but
So he knows that his Soul Rend still exists at some point. He can hope that it's just not in the deck. Can try and minimize healing from the Bloodshard Bristleback. But even then, he's still like so far away from actually winning the game.
That's the problem. Like, there's no plan. Like, normally you go, okay, I've got to do 12 if he hasn't got these cards. This is, I've got to build a board and stick it if they don't have this. And by the way, there's 9 cards left in their deck.
Yeah, like the failed students coming back from the raised dead is... I mean, they're decent-sized minions,
It's
but
expensive, yeah.
they're too expensive. Like, you want to be pretty much... I want to say emptying your hand each turn, but then that also seems like a near-guaranteed loss. I mean, look at the resources that Dimitri has access to. He still has a Soul Rend if he wants it. Doesn't even have to, because he's at full health. Could just go Tamsin this turn and start unloading all of the spells, right? Could go... Even can get away with, like, Tamsin double... Shadow Blast and double Drain Soul. Try and get a little bit of quest completion going. That still clears the board. That still holds on to Soul Rend for potential reload. I mean, the audacity to play a Rod in this scenario is also just pretty funny that he can just, all right, yeah, you know, it's turn 7. I can just play a Rod and raise dead. And there's literally no way my opponent can kill me.
Yeah, just make sure you look after the Void Touch. Just make sure you kill enough things to lower their chances of some weird double Void Touch thing. I don't know. I think the game's over, but double Void Touch thing is probably how you lose. I mean, I don't know what the thing would be. McBanterFace is maximising the amount of time he has to choose his next deck, though. And here we go. This is how you sometimes escape.
Can he Mind Render with full mana and try and...
I mean, what else do you do?
But
Your opponent doesn't want to... I mean, your opponent will play a student, so Mind Render now. You can drain the Bristleback. You can touch the 2/2.
Is there ever a world where you Elucia and then play Soul Rend and delete the rest of your opponent's cards? No. Put him Fatigue and then just Hero Power him down? I don't know.
What's the quest on doing? No? Oh, there we go. Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think... No, because then that's just accelerating the quest. That's still 11 damage that he has to take, and he's at 34. I don't think that's enough. Alright, he's going to wait a turn. Good thing is trading into the Bristleback here. No downsides because Dimitri's at 34 life.
Yep. Get it over with.
I don't even know if that's an upside because is there ever an upside when your opponent's at 34 life when you're playing Shadow Priest? Or probably not.
I mean, if you hit him with a Murloc, they go down to 33. Yeah. He's obviously got a plan. I guess you need to stick something on the board.
Many cards. Still some good stuff left in there. Still a Bristleback. Still a Hand of Gul'dan for these Nightshade Matrons. And yeah, now's the time to start getting more progress on this quest completion and removing the board simultaneously.
I know what you can do. You can steal the Tamsin. What about that one? That's never been said before.
I mean, that's pretty much the one way Dimitri loses, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be on his mind. Okay, don't complete the quest until I play Tamsin.
I guess so. McBanterFace, so in the world where Dimitri has an absolute nightmare and gets this wrong, which would be the least Dimitri thing, McBanterFace is hiding under the cover of these students costing 4 at the moment. But yeah, I spent all my mana. I haven't got a Lucia. We're good. Carry on.
I mean,
as long as you pass, you've got 1 card in hand and you've got 8 mana. It's like it just tips them off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He's thinking about it. He's like, well, maybe I can hope it messes up. Like, at this point, I don't think if you mind render now, you're getting anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think that you can do nearly enough with a mind render now to win the game. I think maybe the only way he wins is if Dimitri messes up. But at this point, Dimitri's had enough time to think about the ways in which he loses this game.
Yes.
And that has to be the only one.
I feel that McBanterFace should have been jamming these cards instantly as if he's lost and then just hope Dimitri sort of falls into a wrong pattern of play. And even then, it wouldn't happen, but that's what I'd be trying to do if I was trying to scam this game.
Yeah.
Muzzle their magic.
You were just a burden.
The end of my deck. My deck is barren.
Okay.
Yeah, just load up the board. I mean, at this point, is he setting up for, like, just lethal? 6, 7, 8 plus 8, 16. The Nightshade Matron would set up for lethal. So that means even if McBanterFace was able to steal the quest reward, it wouldn't matter because he's staring at lethal damage yet. 16, 17, 18, 21. And he's dead. So now he has to mind render to just stay alive.
This has been. He's got to play a Void Touch into this board as well. It's great. There was a Soul Rend just discarded there. If that hadn't been discarded, that might have got at least, I don't know, less disinteresting than it currently is.
Yeah.
But the other side of that is he discards a Soul Rend. That's how easy that win was. He did it without using the other Soul Rend. So,
yeah. 1
apiece, but Dimitri is down that Shaman. McBanterFace does get to start counter-queuing now properly.
Yeah, so big deal there to take that win because a pre-sweep was possible if that had gone the other way. But a nice game there from Dimitri, just kind of being as greedy as possible with the resources. He was able to clear the board perfectly fine, the first 2 boards. First Soul Rend was all he needed. And then was just able to spot remove from there. Ended the game with a ton of health. Which, you know, normally when you're beating Shadow Priest, unless it's a board-based matchup, you're either losing the game or you're winning the game with a solid amount of health because that's just the kind of deck that wins it. McBanterFace is going to go with Garrote Rogue, which is a great matchup into this type of Warlock. The Warlock just doesn't feel like they can go nearly fast enough to get the job done. They just don't have the threats. A lot of times how we see Garrote Rogue beaten by Handlock is you buy a bunch of time with Cult Neophytes and then you drop a Flesh Giant before they've had a chance to get anything going, and then they're having to do inefficient plays from then on out. That's just not an option for Dimitri in this situation because he doesn't. The biggest thing he has in his deck is his quest reward. So, and outside of that, it's Nightshade Matron, which a Nightshade Matron sticking on the board for a couple turns is not the end of the world from the Garrote Rogue's perspective. They just have a ton of time.
Yeah, absolutely. They've even got a target for their Brain Freeze then, which makes things a little bit better for them anyway in some regards. Otherwise, you have to shoot your own minions, which is actually fine as well. But, you know, it's nice to freeze something up. And it's not even clear whether the Rogue is unfavoured against the Giants version, but it's definitely a lot more messy. This, when you know the deck list in particular, on ladder it's a bit different because you might be halfway through the game before you realise, oh, they've got no Giants. That's good. McBanterFace can plan all the way through the game right from the start. Should be all right for him. And he's a good player on this. We've seen he's been winning with the deck as well, so yeah.
Yeah, it was one of his stats. Biggest thing here is you don't need to take any unnecessary risks as the Garrote Rogue. In some matchups, you do kind of need to take risks because, you may not have as much time as you think you do. Examples are playing Octobot on 2 against tempo matchups, or going off for a 90% instead of a 100% lethal scenario with like field contact, spell damage, and Garrotes. In this matchup, you can just take your time. You can just draw cards. You can keep your hand full. You can set up for the guaranteed lethal. You can set up for, even at points, an easier guaranteed lethal. If you know you have guaranteed lethal, but there's a higher chance to mess it up, sure, just wait a turn. Then you have an extra mana. So if you make a mistake, you're still fine.
I agree with everything you just said. And while you were saying he actually played a Shroud on 3 just to draw more cards, as you were talking about, he might play Kazakas now on 4, not to slow himself down, but just to get it out of his hand. It gets a bit cluttery sometimes. My prediction is that turn 7, it will look like he can go for it, and he'll chill and do it on turn 8 instead. That's what I predict for this particular game. It's all about monsters and trampolines. For those of you who are regular viewers, will understand.
Yep. And this monster is really slow. Really slow.
Like you can't even hear it yet.
I love the fact that he went with a 1 here. Don't think there's any reason to go for a 5, even though you can get hit Divine Shield, summon a copy. Who cares? Because then that just gives an excuse for Dimitri to use some of his removal and his Soul Rends and get deeper in his deck. Just assemble a bunch of resources here. Pace yourself. That's it.
Actually, you don't take summon a copy because it just clutters your board up. Probably take 3 damage just in case. Brain Freeze plus 3 damage kills a matron. Give your others +1/+1. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's just Battle Cry, right?
Yeah, they all
Cry
have
with a higher
Battle Cry.
upside.
Yep.
Yeah. It's Battle Cry with no downside, high upside. Bada bing, bada boom.
So now the hand's nearly full. Next turn or the turn after, but probably next turn we'll see the Octobot and set up a mini pop-off for turn 6. Turn 6 they'll be draw half your deck, then turn 7 will be chill, and then turn 8 will be draw the win condition. That's my likely thing from here, because next turn you can just go Octobot ping.
Yep.
Might want to throw a Swindle in there first, or Octobot Swindle ping, just to make sure you've got a nice 9-card hand.
And we can start talking about Dimitri's game plan a little bit here, too. There's a couple things that he can do. One of the biggest ones is stay very high in health, and then use the Armor Vendor when you expect your opponent to go for their kill, because it adds a breakpoint. Right? 32 is +2 spell damage, and then 40 is +3 spell damage. So forcing your opponent to have the additional spell damage is relevant because there's a higher chance that they mess it up. And whether you're 33 health or 40 health in that scenario, it doesn't matter, right? Because most of the time they're dealing their damage in multipliers of 8.
Point taken. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, 34 and 40.
Yeah,
there.
Agree.
So, also, one of the biggest things you can do is just draw through your deck very quickly. And bonus points if you can reduce everything that you're drawing efficiently, which Dimitri is absolutely doing as Nightshade Matron, and which will discard. The Hand of Gul'dan for this turn has even more draw. I mean, the Bristlebacks will be active. That one's free. Okay, efficient quest completion. Love that as well. Basically how he wins is by drawing through his deck as fast as possible, completing the quest as fast as possible, and then hoping that he gets there.
Yeah, no, keep it in your hand. I don't want to play this. I want to play this to try and mess up McBanterFace on turn 7 or 8.
He could I was going to say maybe he can play it just to put Raised Dead Pool, but it looks like he just wants to use the Raised Dead quickly. Draw another card. Draw another card.
I mean, this can slow the rogue down. It sometimes forces a one thief into one thief spell to clear a board or at least slow things down a bit. But on this occasion, I think the McBanterFace is just going to throw cards everywhere. Still running a Foxy Fraud. I feel that's a card that's slowly but surely starting to get phased out. Maybe it's still relevant.
Yeah, no, I like... I'm a fan of the one Foxy list. I still do think it does have relevance, especially when you're talking about tempo-based matchups, where getting the extra card, like an extra body on the board when you swindle, or even like an extra card for prize plunder, because it saves you that mana, is worthwhile.
We saw somebody earlier, possibly Gabby, just keep it alongside the one thief. Just go Foxy one thief. There's some stuff.
Yes. Especially in, I think he did it against Warlock too, right? Get more. Oh no, it was against Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter is even great for that type because, especially when you're talking about brutes, they don't kill things. So just putting things on the board is great.
I think it might have been against Warlock. It was against something you wouldn't expect it against if you were just a normal player.
Maybe you're right.
Not that
was
I'm a
my
normal
initial
person.
instinct.
Yeah, I think it was against the instinct. It wasn't just build a board. But yeah, your point is more relevant to regular humans. Is that against brutes, you just go Foxy and a guy, and yeah, suddenly your opponent's got a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
Not just because you might kill them, which is what usually happens, but your brutes have got things that are just going to take the brutes off the board, which buys the rogue more time to win the other way if it needs to. But Dimitri's down to 7 cards, facing a big board, but...
He's got a lot of ways to fight back. You trade over the field contact. You can double Bristleback. That's just 3 mana. Could even like Bristleback once, Raise Dead, Bristleback again, and then finish the turn with a touch and a tour guide. Yeah, that seems great. He's actually completing Tamsin this turn as well.
And McBanterFace doesn't have a very good pop-off hand at all. I mean, this is what we expect on turn 7, usually on a fairly uninterrupted run. But he's got Prep Shroud, Foxy, Swindle, Octobot, ping it with something you get from all those cards. You should be fine.
All right.
Don't go for it, I don't think.
Oh,
The Octo doesn't reduce enough stuff. I think that makes things awkward. Although with double prep, maybe you could.
and
now
he's out of time.
Yeah. Now it's too late. Absolutely.
He still has one more turn because he's not under any threat until Dimitri actually plays the Tamsin. And even beyond that, there's 6 cards left in the deck. One of those is Backfire, but there's still a lot of mana that would need to be expended in order for Dimitri to actually have an OTK.
I think what McBanterFace was doing largely here was he's got to just make sure he's got enough mana to do it next turn. So he used a prep, so he thought a bit before using the prep. I doubt we'll see him use the other one. Foxy Swindle is much more efficient.
Yep. And then
He needs a card to dump.
Care to make a wager,
he
friend?
could very well just go Octobot Guardian Og Merchant as his dump.
Oh yeah, he can now with all these wands. Yes, I like it.
Yeah. It looks like he wants to clean up the board a little bit. And next turn should be good. Puts him down to 27. Not really relevant because Dimitri can heal. Can get to that 34 breakpoint quite easily. And he has to get Tamsin online here. So it's probably Tamsin, tap, and then he could go trade the Mana Feeder Panthera with a Wand Thief, double tap or double touch. Armor Vendor has got to be fit in there. And then he's got a lot of damage next turn. A lot of damage next turn. He'll have a free life tap. He'll 100% be drawing into the backfire as well and be quite deep into fatigue. He can actually fit in a Cult Neophyte here as well, which is also a big deal. Now, all of this stuff he can fit in. He could Armor Vendor, Tour Guide, Touch, and fit in the Cult Neophyte. This is pretty good. This is about as ideal of a scenario as you can get. 21 is the magic number for him. And next turn, he has the ability to draw for 7 mana, draw 3, 4, 5, 8 cards, plus take 5 naturally. So that would put him 5 into fatigue, so 3, 6.
As long as Banter's careful, he's okay.
20.
According to the deck tracker, which I think is correct, he still has a Shadow Step left, so he can get +3 spell damage on his Octo. But it's messy now, right? He's got to count. So Octo and Orc Merchant is 2 mana. Your field contact is 2 more mana. That's 4. Your Garots are 3 and 1, counting the prep. 3 and 0, counting the prep. That's 7. I think he's okay. Can he draw the cards?
He needs to keep 1 Armor on the board because he does need the +3 spell damage because of the 34 breakpoint.
Yep, and the Shadow Step's going to cost a mana. Okay.
Last 2 cards are Shadow Step, Secret Passage. I think if he doesn't hit Shadow Step here...
I think he's done if he misses, yeah. I think you're right. Say that carefully because it can be wrong, but...
He has the Brain Freeze, but then he wouldn't have a finishing spell. Or a finishing minion. Okay,
what's going to cost 3?
Yeah, he didn't get it. It was miscounted by 1 mana. With the Cold Neophyte, I just don't think he had enough mana.
Yeah, if he gets the Shadow Step early, then he can bounce the Octobot and do it all again, and then he's fine.
All right, and I counted 18 damage possible. I wonder if I'm right. Plus 7 on board, that would be 25. So if I counted correctly, that's lethal.
Let me have
oh no! The Hand of Gul'dan is. Oh no, he doesn't even play the Nightshade Matron. Oh no, this is way more damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you just...
Wait, what?
I was just about to say,
Hand of Gul'dan's a shadow spell. You just get a
spell, yeah.
Yeah, you get a free Hand of Gul'dan. And he draws backfire. That's 100% lethal. That is 1,000% lethal because he backfires as well, then taps, and then Hand of Gul'dan's again. That's actually 7 fatigue ticks. I didn't even think of that because I just assumed that the Hand of Gul'dan was too expensive and that it would be discarded by Nightshade Matron. It's rare that you can actually Tamsin Hand of Gul'dan and actually have that be lethal because, you know, usually you're doing that incredibly late. That was a turn 8 OTK from the handlock.
Wow. And also saved all the necessary blockers to get the exact breakpoints to mess up McBanterFace. And yeah, as Derek's pointed out to me, he can't step the Octobot because even though he gets the damage in, it's not enough damage because Dimitri's put himself out of range. So he has to step the Orc Merchant.
Wow, that was a game of Hearthstone. So a lot to unpack here. One, Dimitri just a clinic with the deck. Very nicely done. Knew exactly what to do. Hyper cycle through his deck. He was mortal coiling his own tour guides, prioritizing the rods essentially as soon as he drew them. Understanding that, like, needing to complete the quest that turn because he had like maximum 2 turns left, especially with the Cold Neophyte's still left in his deck, right? He knew that he could maybe buy himself one more turn or try and protect himself in that instance. And just Tamsin Hand Gul'dan, that spot, if you've been thinking about it for a while, it is easier for a pro player, a little bit harder if you're me, because I didn't see that. I counted lethal regardless. Like, let's say that Hand of Gul'dan was full cost. He still had enough mana to go Nightshade Matron, tap, backfire, which I think would have been 1 damage over lethal. I counted 25. McBanterFace was at 24. But still, very nicely done. And from McBanterFace, I mentioned you don't have to rush or take risks. But as the game pans out, maybe you do, right? There, on the previous turn, it looked like there could have been a possibility for lethal, because he had drawn through most of his deck in that scenario, the previous scenario. He just was limited on mana.
Right.
Whereas the previous turn, right, he would have had 4 additional mana because he had to cast 4 spells. In comparison to what he had on the actual kill turn, and he was still very close.
I think he could have got it, but I can't remember what he drew, but I remember it changed it so that he could do it, possibly an Octobot, but I'm not sure.
I think it was the Shroud that he drew on that turn, so maybe he can't, right? Maybe he doesn't have to.
Oh, no, it might even be Field Surgeon, actually. Because remember, we both went, we can do it, and then he thought for 10 seconds, like, no, he can't do it now, he's taking too long. So maybe if he'd instantly made the decision to go for it on the new information, which is usually wrong with this deck, by the way. Because you don't expect Dimitri to lock you out like that. He can, but yeah, just well played by the opponent, not badly played by McBanterFace, I think. Yeah.
I don't think he really went particularly slowly. Not drawing secret passages up until that point was a little bit rough.
Mm-hmm.
Just because that's usually a good way to spend mana, right, and dump cards from your deck.
Yeah, his first
old-fashioned way with field contact into field contact.
His first pop-off didn't do a great deal, as we're watching this mage unfold doing the magey things.
I mean, he drew like 6 cards, but yeah.
That's kind of what I mean, though. You tend to have like 8 or 9 left, and he was left with, I think it might have been 11 or 12.
Yeah. But yeah, moving on. Very cool game, though, because that's a pretty bad matchup for Dimitri. Just because the rogue usually does things faster. Good draw, too, but I think he played the draw quite well. So, moving in. Quest Mage again. Usually goes a little bit faster than this Quest Warlock, and they can deal lots of damage. The game plan is kind of the same for Dimitri. Yep. Cycle through the deck as fast as possible, and then stay high health total and try and get out of range of breakpoints.
He's got double Neophyte, double Raised Dead as well.
Yeah.
He has no way to kill off the second Neophyte yet, but even so, that's going to put quite a lot of spanners in quite a lot of works along the way.
Yeah. So he doesn't have Rod or Backfire early in this game, which is going to be a detriment, right? It just doesn't seem like he's going to be able to cycle through the deck as fast as he was last game. Also, he was like Tour Guide and then Raised Dead Tour Guide, so he was able to fit in a tap essentially every turn very easily, right? Without sacrificing, like slowing down the rest of his draw. Like he went Tour Guide, tap, Mortal Coil, Raised Dead, got back the Tour Guide. The next turn, he played Rod at the end of that turn. Then the next turn, he tapped for free, Mortal Coiled again, Nightshade Matron. Like he was able to chain together those draws, and it was on turn 8 that he killed. Completed full quest on turn 6. We're much further away from that in this game. Much further away already.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no McBanterFace, to be fair, because he's having his own issues this game with finding ways to frost some spells. Obviously, he did get the block, but the barrier. If he got a block, it would be different. He's okay. He's got his own minion ready to go.
Yep.
He needs to find some better draw than he's been finding.
Like exactly Rod into Hand of Gul'dan would be great. That'd be ideal.
Yep, that'd do.
Like Rod right here. Nope. Another coil. Oh, that's actually incredibly convenient. He would have preferred Rod into Hand of Gul'dan and then do this later on. But this is what he was doing previously in the previous game, and it helped. Oh.
Okay.
Wrong order, but I'm sure he'll take it.
Halfway through the deck.
Oh, it says explode!
Struggling to complete the quest. Don't want to play that second cram session.
Well, my argument to that would be, well, if you're not completing the quest and you're holding the cram session or quest completion, would you rather complete the quest faster or be able to draw more cards once you complete the quest? Ooh.
I want to draw more cards after I've got my flow.
Time runs out on me.
That's like the would you steal bread to feed your family question.
I mean, depends if my family worked in a bread shop or not. Because they might get fired and then we wouldn't have anything at all.
Job done.
Completing the quest is feeding your family, and playing cram session is stealing the bread.
But now he's got the flow,
he
can have his bread and eat it.
Do you just wait to earn enough to feed your family? Or do you steal the bread now to feed your family? It's tough. It's a tough decision. He's gonna choose the ethical answer here and work hard to feed his family instead of stealing the bread right away.
Meanwhile,
Works hard to feed his family, he's gonna get even more bread.
Warlock on the other side has sold his family to buy bread.
To buy bread. Yep. And then at the very end of the game, he just burns all the bread.
Yeah, because why not?
Just lights it on fire.
Straight up doesn't like those philosophical questions. It just gets rid of all the bread. That'll teach you to ask.
No family, no bread. Solved.
Didn't need either of those two things anyway. Right, McBanterFace.
Still struggling, honestly. Shattering Blast was a good pickup just to have a frost spell that can be played whenever. Cold Neophyte actually doing a good amount here. Like, on the turns where McBanterFace has had decent quest completion options, DimitriKazov has disrupted that with a Cold Neophyte. And on the turns where McBanterFace didn't have them, there was no Cold Neophyte, so he was disrupting himself. This has just been pretty brutal overall for McBanterFace to try and get this quest line ticked over.
Time runs out on me.
Because he's still a ways away from actually killing Dimitri, and there's more time being gained. It has finally completed. Turn 7. I guess that's not that slow. We'll have to play it next turn with no Encounterful in the deck. We'll still need another turn beyond that to be able to kill.
Right. Yeah, when you say it's not that slow, but all the conditions are missing. Yeah, the flows, the cram session, one of them's gone, that sort of thing. He's okay, but yeah.
You here for the tour?
Dimitri's still sat on a raised dead. That pool has got pretty full of tour guides by now.
Just a burden.
Tour guides and neophytes, which honestly, it's kind of what you want.
But to be fair, he hasn't got much more. He's playing with such a light minion version of the deck.
He does have a lot of heal banked up for the onslaught, right? He'll have... Not having the rod in play up until this point has been pretty detrimental because his ability to go for like the big swings is quite limited.
a lot of damage.
Okay, Dawn Grasp and Flow.
I demand.
Task's so much easier when you have that much damage out on the board against your unfavorables. We saw that against the Rogue. He was probably fine anyway the way it panned out, but the extra damage he chipped into the Rogue's face really made it easy for him.
Okay. He wants to end this turn with as much life as possible and as much drawn through his deck as possible. Actually, he could take it a little bit slow. Well, quote-unquote slow. Let's say he goes like Rune Mithril Rod, Bristleback, tap Mana Feeder Panther. That all depends on where he's at his quest. We'll see. This actually won't progress. We won't even see. Oh, no, it does. Okay.
4 out of 8.
Yeah, there we go.
Blood is my currency.
And then can play the Mana Feeder Panther after this. I think 27 is... well, with one flow.
Is close at hand.
I mean, nothing's ever safe, but it's a decent number to be on, but you kind of want to win the turn after, though. Otherwise you are dead. Missed on the neophyte.
Yeah, he really wanted Neophyte there. That's kind of the only reason why he even played the Raised Dead, because he just took damage unnecessarily. Didn't hit Lab Partner, which would have been just 1 mana, draw an extra card with Cram Session. I still think McBanterFace is a little bit of ways off, because he's got to flow this turn, then he's got a Cram Session. And he knows that Dimitri's ability to bounce back up. He's got Tamsin and Drain Souls still left, and Touches still left.
Another Spring Water. There's 18 in hand. Without the buff, can he get the Guild Trader down? He cannot. That's a long way up. That's like 1,000,000 mana.
No, I think would be really hard to kill this turn, right?
But he can kill next turn, right?
Yeah.
Still got 5 mana somehow.
9 plus,
Time runs out
what is
on
it, 11? It's 20. 20 damage with Guild Trader Fireball Ignite. Do you even want to ship anything? Because next turn he can go Guild Trader Fireball Ignite.
Yeah, I don't want to ship anything.
Which is from 30.
Hot streak.
Wait. Hot Streak was just lethal that turn, wasn't
Hot streak was Fireball Ignite,
18
right?
plus 17. Yeah, Hot Streak was lethal. Because he would have been left with 4 mana, and then he Hot Streaks, expensive Fireball Ignite. Their base damage, it's 9 plus 9, which is 18, plus that Ignite is 7. Wait, is that Ignite 7? There's no way it's 7. There's no way that's 7.
I think it says 7. I don't think it is. It needs to be 4 anyway, right? 9 plus 9 is 18, and even
It would need
if
to be
Ignite's
6.
2.
It would have needed to be 6. He was at 24.
7. Thank you for hovering over. So
Okay, it was 7. So yeah, that was a miss lethal. Don't think it'll matter. Because he's got the full damage in hand currently.
all of storm.
But maybe there's a world where it did matter. Oh no!
And in that world, Dimitri just won the match.
Potions, flash,
Just-
BOE, I got it all.
But it didn't matter. So we're going to go to game number 5. Going to be the Mage taking on whatever the last deck is for Dimitri, which I think is his Rogue.
Yep. Which is like the same as Quest Mage, just faster and better. But harder. But not that much harder. Also just faster and better.
It's just a good matchup for the Rogue. Wait, this is a good matchup. Yeah.
Is it harder, better, faster, and stronger? I think it is. We hit the quadfecta!
Got them all.
Nice!
It's only the first match, and we're already quadfectoring things.
There's a lot of good things in store for us today, then.
Yeah.
We skipped
Imagine.
right past the trifecta, and we went right to the quadfecta. All right, there it is.
Trifectas for noobs. Right, go at Rogue. Let's have a look for anything or anything different. 1 Brain Freeze, 1 Flinger, 1
Foxy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different, but it's the same.
Yep.
Different, but the same.
I don't even get to say no Mancrix anymore because that's just been phased out completely, I think. At least in this meta. Obviously, on the ladder, your mileage may vary. If you want to play a Mancrick, I think you should.
Yep. There's no Mancrick in the deck. No Jandis. No Alexstrasza. Because this is a different deck. No Perpetual Flame in there, because it's not Shaman.
No Yogg-Saron, because it's not in Standard. At least not that Yogg-Saron. There's other Yogg-Sarons, which makes it complicated. There's other Alexstrasas, which makes it even more complicated. Alright, Dimitri's throwing it all away. McBanterFace keeping the 1 card you have to keep. Unless you're Viper.
I always thought that, like, throwing away the quest as Warlock in some matchups has got to be better than the alternative sometimes.
Yeah, every time.
Like against Shadow Priest, every time I mulligan, I'm like, I really wish I could just have 1 more card in my opening hand. And I can, but I've never done it. Because I've never seen anybody else do it.
Yeah, I've asked this question and people say, no, you can't do that. But I've never had an answer that's really been satisfactory, I must admit. Other than, okay, I get it, I need a win condition. But if you're still playing Giants and things, do I really need to complete my quest? Especially as Giants not the only thing I need. I do find it interesting.
Yeah. Like, would you like in most scenarios, you're like, if you're gonna be playing the same exact way, you're starting the game with like 1 less card but 6 more health. I guess you can look at it that way. Like, would you rather have 1 more card or 6 more health? Mm-hmm. But do you? Sometimes you don't even complete the second portion. I don't know. That's a conversation for maybe another series today.
Yeah, that'll come up. There's plenty more to come.
Yeah, the next matchup has 0 Shadow Priest, which is interesting, the next quarterfinal. But again, we are still in this quarterfinal, so Dimitri, a little bit of a rough hand, I'd say. He's got Kazakis in a field contact, but everything other than that is a little slow.
I wonder if next turn he'll field contact and then just step it.
Possibility.
Slow build up of the Rogue likes to keep the minions off the board against the Mage. But with McBanterFace having a minion on board, it makes things a little bit different. So yeah, now it's not so bad. Weirdly, stealth does help, but not a huge amount. But I guess you take it anyway. Okay, yeah, he's gonna let the flurries happen. There does come a point where there's no point fighting it anymore. You want the stuff out there.
Yeah.
If you can get Mage, which you often can't because of their ice barrier, if you get Mage down to 24, it makes the matchup so much easier. That breakpoint, it's absolutely incredible how easy it is to do 24.
Just +1 spell damage.
Yeah.
You could just use all the Shadow Steps.
Yeah, it just lets you burn.
Literally, you can use all the Shadow Steps.
Yeah, you can. You can also burn an Org Merchant to draw a card at some point, which is nice.
Yeah.
Or to activate an Octobot without having to win the game that turn.
Yep.
Nice. I like it.
The world is your oyster. When your opponent's at 24 and you're playing Guru Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your opponent's at 16, oh, mwah.
Yeah, then you just put the Gurts into your deck and just play the game, and sometimes you win by accident. Like, oh, what did I do this time? Oh, they're dead. Oh, no. Unlucky. Oh, he is drawing pretty mediocre things right now.
Nice. Battle Cry. Kill the spell damage. Beautiful. Still can prep Swindle. Could just Wand Thief.
I want to prep Swindle. 21 cards left in decks, a lot. Want to get through some of those cards. You probably don't need the prep because you're not going to kill McBanterFace in the next turn or two. So by the time you get to turn 8, you tend not to need the prep so much, especially your second one. This is all rubbish.
Yeah, I think Spring Water is the pick because it's like actually playable. Flame Strike's not. Potion of Illusion seems cool when you initially look at it, but then you realize, wait a second. One, I don't want to be clogging my hand up even further. And two, I don't want a bunch of 1/1s on the board.
My 1/1 Octobot. Yeah, that'll... Oh, no.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite work. Yeah, you only do that one once as well.
Yep. That is...
Or if you listen to America's broadcast, you don't do it at all. Never ever proc a 1/1 Octobot, kids. It's not good. Not even once. Right, McBanterFace. Out of stuff. Got card draw, but no stuff.
Yeah. Needs a Frost Spell, but Deep Freeze is too slow. Ignite gives him a fire spell that he can play even trading, but now he's got a ton of fire spells. Oh no!
Yeah, and he is going to go below 24, and he's also going to be facing more damage. I think Dimitri's next turn might just be play the 1-mana field contact and just draw stuff with Cult Neophyte, Foxy, and make a board and say McBanterFace, okay, well, you wanted minions, here's 6 of them, good luck.
Yeah.
Because it's clear that McBanterFace doesn't have the ice barrier, which makes a massive difference to how he wants to proceed. Ugh!
Rough.
Right, got to be careful with this passage. When you've got a full hand, bad things happen if you passage.
Yep.
In the
Could even,
world of overdraws.
Weirdly enough, he could even garrote passage.
He could.
Then he would still need a 2 damage breakpoint, but he'd be able to do more stuff with the passage. I don't know. That's probably a dumb play.
I don't think it's good enough. I think you just make a big board and challenge McBanterFace to actually clear up your board.
Yeah.
Without, you don't want to affect, I mean, you're going to win this by combo almost all the time. Don't get me wrong here. So you don't want to affect your chance of combo. But if you can make a big board and keep your combo open, which likely means keeping a board space open so that no shenanigans occur. I guess with Shadow Step they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's put some damage in. Find a fireball or something now as well.
Shooting Star could be a way for him to just kill his own stuff.
Yeah, because it only costs 1. It works with Penflinger to some degree.
Yeah, and just gonna dump a Secret Passage. I like this.
Yep.
Keep some hand space. Got Cold Neophyte on board, so things are protected. McBanterFace is gonna have to spend nearly his entire turn just playing Fire Sale, which is certainly not fun. Best draw off the top would be Flurry, because then he could Flurry and Fire Sale and complete the quest, but alas.
Dimitri did choose not to burn his prep, though, having already used 1. Which works.
That's smart.
There is a case for only playing 1 prep in this deck, because you only need 1 at the end. But the first one's kind of nice to be expendable with Swindle and such like.
Yeah. All right. 10 cards in hand. Wouldn't mind seeing like Cult Neophyte and Secret Passage here. The problem is, though, there are still a lot of key cards left in the deck, right? Both Octobots is a big one, because Octobot at this point is not really a card you just want to empty out of your deck, just for the sake of emptying it out of your deck. It also has both Ethereal Aug Merchants. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
I thought I'd say it first, because otherwise you're stealing my thunder, you know?
Yeah. You said it first. I just copied you. There's also things that are going to make his hand awkward, right? Like Shroud. If he only dumps one card and then Secret Passage is only with 4 mana left, and he dumps Shroud and then finds another card that's undumpable, what happens then?
Muzzle their magic.
He's going to have to Shadow Step this Field Contact at the very end, which would be his second Shadow Step. He could just Shadow Step it now and then dump it. Ugh. Man, both players are just going real slow. Oh, no, he's going to dump the prep to draw more cards. Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't have to do it
Octobot.
now, though. This is the great thing about this deck. As long as you manage your hand size, make sure you don't overdraw. You can take your time to some extent. Because McBanterFace has gone so slowly this game. There's the ice barrier. Taken forever.
So, yeah, Dimitri's got 2 more turns now. Very likely 2 more turns. It's not guaranteed. There's a possibility that McBanterFace could kill him. It would be like Arcanist. No, there's no possibility.
Yeah, so he's going to play the passage to burn what's left, basically, and then go off next turn.
And then go off next turn. Yeah, those are the remaining cards. Still a good amount of stuff to be able to burn there. There's also still an Octobot. So he's going to get this out of the way, and then Secret Passage. And because this dumps card space, so let's say he picks up Swindle or Shroud, he actually needs the hand space to play those cards. Brain Freeze, great. Swindle, great. Og Merchant, great. Octobot, no.
But you'll draw that next turn somehow.
Probably. Maybe Octobot. I don't know. He could dump it all at once.
Org Merchant for sure. What are the other cards? He's got enough to draw through his deck within hand, right? It's hard to remember his exact hand, but I'm pretty sure he had some draw in there. So I think
let's
he can burn the Org
take a look.
Merchant.
He's got one Ethereal. He's got an Ethereal Og Merchant. He's got a Penflinger. He's got a Brain Freeze. That's it, actually. Wait, no, he doesn't have a Brain Freeze. He's got a Spring Water.
You know, he's got
Ice
mega
Plunder.
lethal next turn. Like, if he doesn't draw
yeah.
the Octobot, what does he do? He's fine because he can give the...
He has enough mana. He has 9 mana.
And a Penflinger. This is where Penflinger comes into its own. You don't even need to think. You've got a Penflinger.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, last 2 cards are Ethereal Og Merchant, Efficient Octobot. Dimitri actually only needs +1 spell damage. So it could literally just be Field Contact, Ethereal Og Merchant to Field Contact, double Garrote, and then Penflinger something, and he's dead.
Yep.
I have proven
That's it.
myself.
It's the simplest of Garrote's lethal. Yeah.
Yep.
And I just don't think there's a way that... Even if Baronface picks up, like... What would it have to be? Like, double Hot Streak?
Well, he didn't pick up single Hot Streak last game, so the chance of picking up double Hot Streak... Whew.
Yeah.
Time runs out on me.
Yeah, it would have had to be like like a second in Cannersville played at some point, even to have a chance, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was just a mathematic impossibility. I'm sure McBanterFace knows it. Don't kill your opponent's minions in case they mess up. Yeah.
Yep.
Simplest of lethals. You don't have to worry about board space.
There's
Just
your
do
+1.
this,
I'm out of
play
cards.
2 Garrotes, and then Penflinger. That's it.
Yep.
You're paying.
Okay, you've got...
He's thinking.
I like it in case you miscounted, though, honestly, in case you've done something dumb or the secret triggers or something terrifying happens. Like,
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
And again, it's all part of how Dimitri's progressing as a player. Just keep the routine the same all the time, so you don't necessarily have to have that sort of flair, weird, I only need one finish. Just do what you would normally do. And it's working for him. He played really, really well this series, especially that game with the Warlock against the Rogue. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was just a very nicely played series from Dimitri, I think, from start to finish. And honestly, McBanterFace played nicely as well. Like, maybe some slight optimizations in his Garrote Rogue game. It's rare that you find yourself in a situation where you have to go like 1 turn faster, and of course hindsight's 20/20 in that instance. where at a certain point in the game, like you've already committed to what turn you're going to kill your opponent, and it's hard to bail out when a Colt Neophyte's staring at you on the board. And you're like, I can't kill him, and he kills me next turn. That's insane. It doesn't happen that often in versus handlock, versus that variation of handlock. And then he won the game anyway, but he did miss a lethal. So,
Yep.
a tough one when he had like 3 seconds or 5 seconds left on his turn. But overall, I think McBanterFace's macro lines were there. Clean play overall. It's just Dimitri got the better of him today. So Dimitri makes top 4. Is that like the first time? Because it feels like he's on broadcast every week, but loses on Friday or Saturday every week.
A quick look. It is, yeah. He's got 1, 2, 2, and now 3 points. So yeah, it's his first top 4. But he's been getting to a lot of Saturdays. Also curious to see if people start getting in better and better spots with a handlock against the Rogue, if the Rogues start popping off a bit earlier over the coming weeks. That might be worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way it worked out in that game, but we'll see going forwards.
Yeah, that's about